You know that feeling? You're in a heated discussion, maybe with a coworker, your partner, or a family member. You have the facts. You have the logic. You are 100% objectively correct. But the more you explain why they are wrong, the colder the room gets. They don't concede. They get defensive. They get angry. And they might even start attacking you. You walk away frustrated, thinking, why can't they just see it? What if I told you the secret to winning that argument was a technique perfected by Al Capone? That sounds crazy, right? But by the end of this video, you will understand a fundamental law of human interaction so powerful that it will change the way you handle every disagreement for the rest of your life. You'll learn why criticism, no matter how justified you feel, is almost always a losing strategy. We're diving into the very first principle from Dale Carnegie's legendary book, How to Win Friends and Influence People. I'm going to show you why the most dangerous criminals and the most successful leaders in history all understood the same thing. You cannot win people to your way of thinking by telling them they're wrong. Instead, you'll learn how to get the honey, cooperation, goodwill, and change behavior without ever kicking the beehive of a person's ego. This isn't about being a pushover. It's about being smart. Point 1. The criminal's justification. Let's start with the hard stuff. On May 7, 1931, the streets of New York City were locked down in one of the biggest manhunts the city had ever seen. They were hunting for a man named Francis Two-Gun Crowley, a cop killer. After a ferocious shootout, they captured him. Now, what do you think a man like that says about himself? Does he say, "I'm a terrible person, I regret my choices"? No. While bullets were flying into his apartment, he wrote a letter. And in that letter he wrote, "Under my coat is a weary heart, but a kind one that would do nobody any harm." When he was later sentenced to the electric chair, did he accept his guilt? No. He said, "This is what I get for defending myself." The man was a cold-blooded killer, but in his own mind he was a good person who was forced into a bad situation. And he's not an outlier. Take Al Capone, America's most famous gangster. Did Capone see himself as a violent criminal? Absolutely not. He saw himself as a public benefactor. He genuinely said, "I have spent the best years of my life giving people the lighter pleasures, helping them have a good time, and all I get is abuse." He saw himself as a misunderstood and unappreciated public servant. Carnegie's point is earth-shattering. If men like Al Capone and Two-Gun Crowley, standing in the shadow of the electric chair, don't blame themselves for anything, what does that tell you about the everyday people you and I interact with? The person who cut you off in traffic. They were probably rushing to the hospital in their mind. The co-worker who missed a deadline, they'll tell you they were overloaded and unsupported. The first principle of handling people is this: 99 times out of 100, a person will not criticize themselves for anything, no matter how wrong they may be. Criticism is futile because it puts a person on the defensive and forces them to justify their actions. It wounds their pride, hurts their sense of importance, and arouses immediate resentment. Point 2. Don't kick over the beehive. Carnegie gives us the perfect metaphor for this. Handling people is like gathering honey. You can get the honey, the cooperation, the result you want, or you can kick the beehive. But you can't do both. Criticism is kicking the beehive. Imagine you send a Slack message to your colleague. "Hey, that report you sent was full of typos, and the data on page 3 is completely wrong. You need to be more careful." What happens? You've kicked the hive. That person doesn't think, "Wow, thank you so much for that feedback. I will now improve my performance." They think, "Who does this person think they are? I was up until 2 a.m. finishing that report because the data was sent to me late. They have no idea what I'm dealing with." You may have been factually correct, but you just traded a potential ally for a resentful adversary. You got stung. And you didn't get the honey, which was a better report and a better working relationship. Instead of kicking the hive, a honey-gatherer would approach differently. "Hey, thanks for getting that report done under pressure. I know it was a tight deadline. I had a couple of questions on page 3. Could you walk me through the data when you have a sec?" See the difference? No criticism, no blame. You've preserved their ego and opened the door for a productive conversation. You get the honey without the sting. Quick question for you. Have you ever criticized someone, maybe with the best intentions, only to have it completely backfire on you? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Point 3. The Lincoln Transformation. Now you might be thinking, okay, so I can't criticize criminals or sensitive coworkers, but surely, for big, important matters, a sharp rebuke is necessary. Let's look at one of the greatest leaders in history, Abraham Lincoln. Early in his career, Lincoln loved to criticize. He wrote scathing letters and poems mocking his political opponents. He once criticized a rival so harshly that it nearly led to a duel. But Lincoln learned. He learned that sharp criticism created enemies and accomplished nothing. The turning point came during the Civil War. After the Battle of Gettysburg, General Meade had Robert E. Lee's army trapped. Lee was defeated, and the river behind him was flooded. It was a golden opportunity to end the war. But Meade hesitated. He held councils of war. He delayed, and Lee's army escaped. Lincoln was furious. He sat down and wrote a blistering letter to Meade. "My dear General," it began, "I do not believe you appreciate the magnitude of the misfortune involved in Lee's escape. It would be unreasonable to expect, and I do not expect, that you can now effect much. Your golden opportunity is gone, and I am distressed immeasurably because of it." This was the ultimate, "I told you so." But Lincoln never sent the letter. Why? Because he put himself in Meade's shoes. He thought, wait a minute. Maybe I shouldn't be so quick to condemn. If I were there on the battlefield, exhausted, having just seen so much bloodshed, would I have been so eager to charge? He realized that criticizing Meade would only embitter him, damage his morale, and make him defensive. It wouldn't change the past. Lincoln learned to put the letter aside. From that day forward, he adopted a personal motto: "Judge not, that ye be not judged." He made it a rule to never criticize. And it's this quality of empathy, of understanding instead of condemning, that made him such a revered and effective leader. The conclusion. So what have we learned? First, from the darkest corners of society, we learned that even criminals don't blame themselves, so the people in your life definitely won't. Second, we learned the beehive principle. Criticism gets you stung with resentment, and you lose the honey of cooperation. And third, from one of history's greatest leaders, we learned that true power comes not from condemnation, but from understanding. The central theme is simple but profound. Criticism is pointless. It only serves to put people on the defensive and wound their pride. So here is my challenge to you. For the next 24 hours, make it your mission to not criticize anyone for anything. The next time you feel the urge to correct someone, to complain, or to condemn, stop. Bite your tongue. Instead, ask yourself, why would a reasonable person do what they just did? Try to understand their perspective instead of imposing your own. Just try it for one day. You'll be amazed at how it changes your interactions and reduces the amount of friction in your life. If you found this valuable, do me a huge favor and hit the subscribe button and turn on notifications so you don't miss the next video, where we'll unpack another incredible secret for influencing people.